This week we have something a little bit different. Are you a sailboat snob?
Are motorboats better than sailboats?
Don't know, but we're going to be talking about it. And this week we spent a bit of time with a motorboat captain whose passion is still sailing. I don't know if you can see that gap there, but it is insanely small. Well, it's certainly not like Esper, that's for sure. Well, we've got a bit of drama going on here. Congratulations to Paul. I don't know how he did it.
I don't know either.
Early start today. Guess what? We are leaving the marina. Yep, you heard that right, folks. We're actually leaving the marina. But don't get too excited because it's not on our boat. It's on that boat just there. You see that blue one? He's leaving in about 10 minutes. He's got to head up to the boatyard, and they're hauling out in the boatyard up the road and asked if we'd like to come along for the ride. So why not? Let's see what life is like on the other side of yachting. Here we are on the mega yacht, pontoon, super yacht. This is the one that Liz and I started off on when we were down here on our own. There's now 5 or 6 boats here, and we're on Island Princess, which is a Princess actually, built in Plymouth, I think they are. It's actually the smallest boat out of all of them, but as far as we're concerned, it's still a big boat. I think it's about 80 foot. In my books, that's big.
This one's got tension, so that can stay and this one can come off. First of all, welcome on board Island Princess. My name is Paul Stanton. Been in the yachting industry now for 25 years. Started when I was about 13, sailing mirror dinghies on the River Medway. I originally come from UK, southeast UK, a place called Chatham. The only time we steer from downstairs is when it's raining quite heavily or there's foul weather. So this is basically my driving station. All the time it's nice and sunny and the weather's good.
Did you get a better perspective,
Absolutely, I get a much more, visual, 360 degrees. I can see the bow. I can't quite see the stern, but we have radio contact all the time with the stern guys. And as always, a motorboat, we always want to go forward, and that's the way I want to go. Unless I go backwards, I go downstairs, and I've got a drive station downstairs, which I'll show you later.
Okay, right.
So here we've got Thunderbird's our go.
Well, funny enough, we watched James Bond last night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Autopilot, depth gauge, radar and chart plotter, the helm and the throttles. We get the sat nav and the radar all powered up. We don't need radar on a day like today. Although it looks nice, I always like driving a motor yacht. It's always nice to see a scanner going round. It just makes it feel like a ship. It's been a very diverse career that I've taken, a very interesting path, sailing, powerboating, 25 years in the maritime industry, very diverse with large motor yachts, going back through to sailing yachts, hovercrafts, cross-channel ferries, merchant navy, and I started out in the Sea Cadets when I was 13 years of age. Wasn't really my plan to head to sea, but however, after thinking about aviation for a while, I've always had a passion for the sea. One last check that I always do, there's a button here called Sea Readiness. If I've got 4 greens, it's a little bit on an airline with its undercarriage coming down. I've got 4 greens, I'm good to go. So we're going to start the main engines. So over to this console here. Flick over my bonning panel to my engine panel, and that gives me the parameters of the 2 main engines. At the moment, I'm just going to start. So it's amazing, 1,950 horsepower, you can hardly hear it from this.
Just a whisper.
I know. I love being at sea. I love the one with the nature. I love the camaraderie with the crew, the learning aspects about sailing, about transiting from sailing yachts up through the commercial side of things, the cross-channel ferries. Very privileged to have worked on the SRN4 hovercrafts from Dover to Calais. I started working on those as basically a purser, and then I worked my way up to second officer, which is basically a flight engineer. And then after the demise of the cross-channel ferries and the future of the Channel Tunnel, which put paid to the ferry service there, I went into more of the leisure yachting industry. Sailing instructor for Sunsail, yacht deliveries worldwide. Got a passion for the pleasure side of my career, and here I am living in Asia now for 15 years, and I've worked on various size motor yachts now for the past 10 years. The largest being 48 meters. At the moment we're on a 27.6 meter Princess yacht built in Plymouth, and I very much enjoy it.
We're just slipping the lines now, and we've got the guys from the marina just untying the lines off the bollards. Stands clear, and we're heading forward.
Go to the bow and assist Kino. Leave the lines as they are. If we're clear of the stern, assist the Kino, please. Opposite stern and to the I mean, we're just basically turning on a sixpence. I'm not even touching anything. It keeps me in Asia. It's a fantastic career, and I'm 53. Few more years left yet in me to fulfil wider horizons, and let's see what happens. It's a fantastic job.
Well, the first thing I've noticed is having to brace myself when Paul knocks it forward, even just in tick over. The torque behind these engines is well, it's certainly not like Esper, that's for sure. And as you just saw then, he was able to literally spin her on a sixpence. Again, nothing like our boat.
Love being out of the marina and on the water. It's a beautiful light, lovely morning, and this is pretty comfortable.
You just want to explain about the gyros again, what it is and why we haven't got it on?
Okay, so the gyro stabilizer is a Seakeeper 26. It will take up to about 4 hours to spin up to its normal operating speed, which is 5,000 RPM. The bearings are cooled by seawater, a seawater cooling pump. Because we are getting lifted out very soon, and it takes about 5 hours to stop the gyro, and for the seawater cooling pump to stop operating and cooling the bearings, the reason why we're slightly rolling in a slight sea is because we don't have the gyro on, and because we're getting hauled out, we don't want the gyro spinning when there isn't any seawater cooling. So that's one factor. The other factor is that if there's any imbalance with the slings, we will probably shake the travel lift to pieces.
So we're just coming around the corner of Gaia, which is the big island off of KK. Lots of fishing boats coming in, and there's a bit of a swell, and it's difficult to work out if we notice the swell more because we're going that much faster on a bigger boat, and of course they're that much higher up as well, or whether it's actually less than what it would be on a sailboat if we were motoring through it.
This is a British-built motor yacht. It's a Princess 88. It's built in Plymouth in the UK. This particular vessel was built in 2017, so it's coming up for a 3-year-old model, so it's not particularly old. We're just going through a warranty program, which we've almost fulfilled. The engines are Caterpillar V12 ACERT C32s, 1,950 horsepower each. Cruising speed, we are on average, subject to weather, average 15 knots, capable of a maximum speed of 29 knots. Long distance, we are looking at 1100 RPM at, let's say, 10 knots, again, depending on the weather.
Well, we've just reached our destination, which is Kinnabaloo North Shipyard. This is where a couple of friends have hauled out already, and this is where Paul will be hauling out Island Princess as well. What to say, it's hot, very enclosed. So as we came around the island, you will have seen that we had quite a bit of swell. Well, since we came in through the entrance here, that swell's completely gone. 15 metres of water. Actually not a bad place just to anchor. It's quite industrial though. There's a dockyard over there. We've got tugs going up and down, but look at it, it's beautiful.
That was a very nice start to the day. Up at 5:30, it's now 9:10, and we've come all the way from the marina to the haul out place, and of course we just dropped the anchor outside, and as you all know, it's tradition, Jamie and me, whenever an anchor is dropped, to have a beer, so cheers. 9:10 in the morning.
The comparison of a sailing yacht compared to a motor yacht, yes, we get from A to B quickly. A motor yacht does offer that extra comfort, the space, the accommodation, the saloon, the creature comforts. In some cases, depending on the size of the vessel, a little bit more stable. The fuel consumption, okay, well, we burn in excess of an average cruising speed, let's say 10 knots, around about 40 litres each engine. Okay, having started out in my early life with sailing boats, the transit from a sailing yacht up to a motor yacht is more for the fact that it's a career. There is a certain amount of monetary gain to be had on a motor yacht than there is, let's say, a full-time captain of a sailing yacht. The other side of the coin, a sailing yacht, it may take a long while to get there, but you can go forever. On a motor yacht, on a yacht like this, you wouldn't be able to, let's say, cross an ocean, a transatlantic. You'd have to put this on a ship to get it, let's say, from the Mediterranean over to the Americas. There is an aspect of range as well. This is one of the aspects I like about sailing. It gets you from A to B on a fantastic budget. The experience is second to none. You might get somewhere at a slower pace, but I think getting from A to B is probably more enjoyable on a sailing yacht. They've always been a passion of mine.
And there we have it, a motorboat captain who still loves sailing. And big thanks to Paul for letting us come along for the little trip. It's actually not our first time on a motorboat, but it was interesting getting his perspective, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. He's such a nice guy, and it was a lovely break from the marina.
It was. Now, the question is, who is more important? Sailboats, powerboats, ferries, cargo ships? You know, is there a hierarchy?
Is there a pecking order?
Well, you know, my argument is not. I mean, we have seen snobbery, haven't we?
Yeah.
In both directions.
Yeah.
People who kind of despise motorboats because they're on their sailboat. Like
Stink pots, they call them, don't they?
And you know, my argument is that we all share the same seas.
Indeed.
Different boat, same seas. Now, did you see how Paul went to assist that father and son in their little dugout canoe? And Paul, rather than showing them off his expensive boat, and of course it's not his boat, he's just the captain, the first thing he does is ask them what they want and offers them water.
I mean, he called them over and he grabbed the water out and they were really happy, you know, just like we would on the yacht. So,
exactly.
You know, you can't sort of tar all people with the same brush just because they're on a different boat to you.
Absolutely. And I think that action of Paul helping him out kind of really sums up what I'm trying to get across, which is doesn't matter what you're in, let's all share the seas happily together.
Indeed.
And by the way, the trip didn't end there. Of course, we're actually trying to get to haul the boat out, and the first thing that we had to contend with, and again similar to being on a sailboat, was that approaching squall.
Yeah, sideways squall, which would have made it really difficult to get in.
Yep.
Wouldn't it?
So Paul had that playing on his mind. We were waiting for another boat to be hauled out and this squall was approaching. I think we're all familiar with that scenario. And then this happened. Well, we've got a bit of drama going on here, and this is again just like being on a sailboat. It looks like they've picked up a mooring line of some description. It's gone over the flukes and actually onto the shank of the anchor, so laying the anchor down and releasing the line's not going to work. So one of the boys, it looks like he's going to go in and just cut the line. I think it's just going to be the quickest way of dealing with this. Done already?
Okay, Kino, is the anchor stowed?
It is. Operating.
Okay, right, we're going in.
After weighing the anchor, Paul then had to get the boat into the slip, and I've got to say, that was really quite tough. Yeah. So the deal is they had this huge, great big dry dock, which they were sandblasting, but someone had the crazy idea of parking up this dry dock right next to the entrance to the slip. I don't know if you can see that gap there, but it is insanely small, really tight. Of course, this thing shouldn't be here. That's the problem. Paul's manoeuvring skills were second to none, I've got to say.
They were, but even he was worried. He had us on all corners. I had to add my one job. You've got to keep looking, and you were looking at the, you know, we were all looking because it was so tight. If it had been us, I don't think we could have done it. In fact, I know we couldn't have done it. It was way too tight. We don't, perhaps if you've got some help, maybe if someone came out on a dinghy to push us around, but we wouldn't have been able to do that.
Now, of course, he does have thrusters on both ends of the boat, but I know he was having a few issues with those. So, again, very similar to being on a sailboat. You weigh up your options, and Paul was in two minds about whether he should actually even attempt it.
Yeah, he said if he couldn't do it, he wasn't. Yeah, he was going back.
And the other similarity, of course, with what he was doing on his boat and what we do is the communication between him and the crew.
Yeah.
So, of course, the two lads, they were on the VHF, calling backwards and forwards to Paul just to give him an idea of the clearance as he went round that corner.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it's with us. It's you at the helm screaming at me, and I'm running up and down.
Something like that. Yeah. I've got to say though, at the end of it all, Paul handled it like a pro.
Yeah. Well, he is a pro.
Congratulations to Paul. I don't know how he did it.
I don't know either.